Hello, everyone, and welcome to the sixth episode of Talking Sports. I'm one of your hosts, Miles Schild. This is my co-host,
Andrew Volkman, everybody.
So, as you can obviously hear, Andrew Volkman is virtual today. That is why kind of we haven't been able to post. We've been so busy, but we love all the fans so much that we really want to get another episode up. So we're gonna do half of it virtual. So just kind of starting us off here, let's jump right into it. We are gonna be talking about NFL free agency, the NFL Combine, which me and Andrew spent a lot of time analyzing, going through the data, the numbers, and all that. And then we're going to see how those two things are going to affect the draft and what teams are going to be affected, what players are going to be affected, and so on and so forth. All right, so let's start us off with arguably one of the biggest moves, Sam Darnold going to the Seahawks. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a very interesting move by the Seahawks. I mean, they traded away Geno Smith to the Las Vegas Raiders, and they replaced him with Sam Darnold. And I don't know. I mean, he definitely showed that he could be solid, but the Vikings were had a very solid offensive line, very good weapons, and for Sam Darnold to prove that he is just above average with those weapons is a little not as good as we were hoping.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree that whole kind of thing is a little bit off to me. Just because, adding on to what you said, Sam Darnold did good when he had the weapons. I don't see the Seahawks being a team, maybe with them bringing in Cooper Kupp and Jackson Smith and the Jigba really taking that step, I would assume, into the number one spot. But all around, I don't see this being a team where Sam Darnold can really flourish. And another note, I did kind of guess Sam Darnold's contract with that $100 million there. Not to,
Yeah.
not to toot my own horn. But let's kind of continue here. So, what do you think about that Geno Smith thing on the counter side of that?
I like it for the Raiders. They get a solid veteran quarterback to kind of fill that hole. Geno Smith's definitely not the long-term guy for Las Vegas, but he definitely can be a guy that can get them some solid seasons, maybe get them close to a wild card spot. But it all really comes down to maybe some of the people that Pete Carroll and that Raiders front office surround him with. I know they have some good weapons, but they definitely need a little bit more to give Geno Smith.
Yeah. And do you see Brock Bowers taking a step in the right direction with Geno, or do you see him kind of starting to fall off?
I think we will see a little dip in production for Brock Bowers. I think that his rookie season was above what we all thought, and he's not going to be able to quite repeat that because maybe they're going to bring in another receiver. I know Pete Carroll kind of likes to target his receivers a little bit more instead of his tight ends, and Seattle really didn't have a tight end that caught the ball very much. But I think Brock Bowers will still be an impact player for the Raiders.
Yeah, do you see with Pete Carroll, obviously he's pulling strings, a lot of strings here. He brought in his former quarterback, and we knew that was going to happen. Most people thought it was going to be Russell Wilson. No one really saw this Geno Smith thing coming. But do you see them bringing in a guy like Tyler Lockett, who has played with Geno, and really add that more wide receiver depth?
If it's a good deal, I would think so. But if it's not good for the Raiders, if it's not good long term for them, it's not going to help because realistically, Tyler Lockett's not a long term receiver. He's kind of a 1 to 2 year guy, but he could definitely be someone they bring in just if it's the right deal and right situation.
Yeah, and talking about Sam Darnold and Geno Smith's former team, the New York Jets, and they decided to bring in Justin Fields. Thoughts on that?
For the Jets, it's a smart decision, but I don't trust their quarterback development at all to help Justin Fields reach that next step. And I do like that Justin Fields is able to negotiate a shorter term deal, so he can test the market a little bit sooner. But I don't really know if this is going to pan out like we think. So we're just going to have to wait and see how Fields to the Jets works.
Yeah, I really want Justin Fields to do good. I was super disappointed with the way everything played out with the Steelers and, Russell Wilson taking over the reins. Obviously, it worked for them. They got to the playoffs. But I really want to see Justin Fields and that whole Jets team take the right step in the right direction. I think if you can develop Justin Fields the right way, even though we've seen historically they have not been able to do that, but if they can somehow really tap into Justin Fields' playing potential with Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, Braylon Allen now coming up, and you kind of boost that offensive line with some rookies, you really rebuild the team around Justin Fields. It's already halfway rebuilt. So if you can really tap into that Justin Fields potential, I think that the Jets have a really good chance at becoming a good team.
Yeah, they just need a little more O-line depth and a little bit more help on the defensive side of the ball. But I agree, they have a little bit of ways to go, but they're getting closer.
Mm-hmm. And actually, I have on all my notes I take for the show, I have a little part of the notes that says silly situations, and it's usually this team swapping players with another team via free agency. And one of the silly situations I had was Justin Fields going to the Jets and Aaron Rodgers going to the Steelers. Now, there has been a lot of speculation about what Aaron Rodgers will do, if he'll go to the Titans, the Jets, the Vikings, not the Jets, sorry, the Steelers, the Vikings, there's the Giants. There's a lot of questions. There's rumors that he's holding out till after the draft. A lot of Aaron Rodgers drama, which we are used to. But I think, do you see Aaron Rodgers going to the Steelers? And if you don't see that, what team do you think he may go to?
I don't think he's going to go to the Steelers. I think that he's just going to be kind of crazy and just go to the Vikings to complete his Brett Favre tour. But Steelers make sense. Vikings make sense. It's just I think the Steelers are going to go with somebody a little bit different than Aaron Rodgers, someone a little bit younger. Overall, I mean, they could try Russ again. They could go and get someone in the draft. They could bring in another quarterback. I can't think of anybody off the top of my head, but I don't think Aaron Rodgers is.
Jameis Winston, Joe Flacco are the two top quarterbacks available right now.
Yeah, I definitely could see them getting a stopgap quarterback again, but I don't think they're going to get someone like Rodgers to be that stopgap quarterback.
Yeah, I think either way, no matter what quarterback gets brought in, whether it's Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Jameis Winston, Joe Flacco, we know Joe Flacco had a conversation with the Giants on Thursday, I believe, but I think that they will inevitably draft a guy. I think it could definitely be Jackson Dart. And I expect to see Jackson Dart learning from a veteran quarterback. Those are four, I would say, talented quarterbacks, four veterans who have been starters before, who have all been on different teams. Flacco's been on a bunch. But I think that you get a guy with raw potential like Jackson Dart, like Quinn Ewers, and give him a veteran to look up to, they could have a really good future. And I don't see how quarterbacks can struggle with the two receivers that they have in Pittsburgh. And I'm not saying that the next guy who goes to Pittsburgh is going to be Joe Burrow, but look at Joe Burrow. He's got Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. That is essentially what is going on in Pittsburgh. It is DK Metcalf and George Pickens. And hey, maybe Jackson Dart will become a Joe Burrow type quarterback. I have made that prediction before. I would be super excited to see a veteran and a rookie quarterback going at it for the starting job. I see the veteran winning, and I see the young guy really learning from a talented veteran quarterback.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that point plays into what Aaron Rodgers might do when he goes to the Vikings. I think that he could kind of coach JJ McCarthy, because I don't think JJ McCarthy is going to be fully 100% ready to go for the regular season. I don't think he's going to be fully healthy with that knee injury and that recovery and all. I think that teams could bring in a veteran quarterback, and Rodgers going to the Vikings is one of them.
Yeah. Let's continue here. So we talked about that. Now let's talk about staying on the quarterback route. Let's talk about the Giants situation. They are kind of in the back seat for everything right now. No one really knows what's going to happen. They are essentially letting everyone else decide their fate. Right now, they didn't go after I would say the two top quarterbacks in Justin Fields and Sam Darnold. They haven't even really brought in another quarterback besides Tommy DeVito. They are now waiting to see what the Titans and the Browns will do at the draft, because I'm telling you right now, they're going to be in a heap of trouble if Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward get drafted before they get to their third pick, and they're stuck with a guy like Joe Flacco, who's almost 40 years old, and they have a team that still is not good.
Yeah, it's not a good situation for the Giants, and they need to really get a quarterback in the draft, because really I don't think they want to bring in a Joe Flacco, like you said. They got to try to get Shedeur or Cam Ward, Shedeur at the very least. If they have to settle for a Quinn Ewers or someone a little bit lower like a Jalen Milroe, at least they have someone that has a little bit higher stock than someone like a Jackson Dart or like a Riley Leonard, just to get names out there. But it's not a good situation for the Giants right now.
Yeah. And I think that the Giants won't be ready for a while, even if they bring in a guy like Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. But
No.
Let's continue on this Giants route. See, all these guys are connecting to the next team we go to. The Giants' former quarterback, he was cut. He was supposed to be their franchise guy. I tried to tell him, don't give him this big contract. They did. He ends up getting cut. He gets signed by the Vikings. Seems like they liked what they were seeing out of Daniel Jones. I think increasing his value on the free agency market. He signs with the Colts after he does not go back to the Vikings. He goes to the Colts to compete for that starting job against Anthony Richardson. His name is Daniel Jones. Thoughts on him signing with the Colts?
For Jones, it's a W move, because he gets another opportunity to compete for a job when, quite honestly, in all reality, he shouldn't be competing for another job. He should be really competing for a backup job. But it's a good move for Daniel Jones. For the Colts, not very good. You're getting two of the same quarterback pretty much, except Daniel Jones probably has less of an arm than Anthony Richardson. But I don't understand it for the Colts, but good job, Daniel Jones, I guess.
Yeah, I would agree. Good job, Daniel Jones, because the fact that he can even compete for a starting role after his abysmal seasons with the Giants and how awful that has been. But I think if Daniel Jones wins the quarterback competition for the Indianapolis Colts, there is a bigger problem. Because guess what? Now you just realize that the guy you drafted high first round, who's only played, 2 seasons? is not your guy. You are in a lot of trouble if Anthony Richardson cannot beat arguably the worst starting quarterback in the league.
Yeah. Definitely not very good. And I have a little bit of criticism for the Colts. Like, they knew coming out of the draft that Anthony Richardson is a project quarterback. He has a potentially high ceiling, but a floor that looks like a basement. So, I mean, I kind of put them at fault for not really being patient. They want to win when in all reality, they really can't win right now. I know they have some guys that are in their prime, like Michael Pittman Jr. and a few other guys like Jonathan Taylor, but really, you can't have two pieces lead to a Super Bowl. And they just weren't patient. And Jim Irsay is just continuing to shoot himself in the foot with the Colts.
Yeah, there's definitely not it's definitely not a good situation down there in Indianapolis. Maybe we see someone get brought in like Tyler Warren, the tight end out of Penn State. Maybe I've seen some mock drafts with him going to the Colts. I think it was interesting because there was a tight end available because a tight end is something they needed. Evan Ingram.
Mm-hmm.
And he signed. He actually signed a 2-year, $23 million contract with the Broncos.
Oh,
so that took away that opportunity. And let's talk about one of the newest trades. It's very recent, just happened. Jordan Mason to the Vikings. Thoughts on it?
I don't understand it really for the Vikings. I mean, they just brought back Aaron Jones. I get that they're trying to get some depth with Jordan Mason, and I don't know, because I feel like Jordan Mason can easily be like a starting quarterback for another team.
Running back.
What did I say?
Quarterback, but continue. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, running back. I mean, I just don't really understand it from the Vikings' point, giving up that pick. Like, I know it wasn't a lot to give up for Jordan Mason, but you're bringing in two pretty much of the same guys with Jordan Mason and Aaron Jones, kind of smaller size guys, a little more elusive. Just one's a little bit younger than the other, but I don't know. But I guess it's adding to some depth to the running back room for the Vikings.
Yeah, and just to put into perspective, Aaron Jones signed a 2-year, $13 million guaranteed contract to return, and Jordan Mason is 25. So we want to talk about, like, obviously running backs retire early. So, Jordan Mason's kind of in the middle to beginning part of his career. So there's definitely something to fall back on. So I wouldn't say it's the worst move. It maybe doesn't fit Jordan Mason the best. Like, it's not the best career move for him, but I definitely think that it could pay off for the Vikings in the long run.
Yeah, I agree. Jordan Mason, again, a little bit younger than Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones could fall off a cliff potentially halfway through the second year of his deal. So, I just don't really like the move for the Vikings getting a running back who really is just stuck behind another veteran that is just less playing time really overall.
Yeah. And staying on that running back route, Najee Harris, who I think Najee Harris and Nick Chubb, if they could have stayed healthy throughout the beginning parts of their career, would be the two guys in probably the top 6 running backs in the league. But they haven't, and that led to Najee Harris signing with the Chargers, which he will be replacing J.K. Dobbins, who I believe, as of now, has not signed anywhere else. What do you think about this?
I like the move for the Chargers. They get an experienced running back. I also like how you said running back route. That was kind of funny. Either way, Najee Harris, experienced running back. He's got a little bit of pop in there, I would say. He's got some explosiveness. I would say he's not as productive as he used to be, but then again, the Chargers haven't brought in anybody that is crazy production wise. Like Gus Edwards, not really going to blow you away with anything. J.K. Dobbins is explosive, but he can't stay on the field. And Najee Harris is kind of like a mix between those two. He's kind of like he's kind of in the middle of Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. Kind of just a boring running back altogether. But I like the move for the Chargers. Get another experienced running back in there.
Yeah. And there obviously injuries have plagued a lot of guys' careers. And one of those guys has been Joey Bosa, who signed a 1-year, $12.6 million deal, which is crazy because it is $12 million guaranteed. And this guy has barely been able to stay in the field. When he's on the field, he's one of the best at the position. But he hasn't been able to stay on the field. He's 30 years old. I don't know. I'm unsure about this move for the Bills.
Yeah, the injury concerns are there for Joey Bosa, but I've seen it as recently as this year with Mekhi Becton going to the Eagles from the Jets, and Mekhi Becton couldn't stay healthy for the majority of his career. Goes to a new team and is able to have the most productive season of his career, staying healthy for all 17 games, and I could see that happening with Joey Bosa. I don't think he's going to be on the field every single week. I think that he's going to miss 1 or 2 weeks just because of his age and probably an injury here and there. But I think that we'll see probably the most productive season in a little while for Joey Bosa going to the Bills.
Yeah, and I hate to be the guy who corrects you, but Mekhi Becton, the offensive guard, signed with the Chargers.
Well, I mean, I'm just talking about this past season with the Eagles. And past season with the Eagles.
Yeah, okay. And staying on that, I get hurt, kind of thing. Let's talk about the best team, the Green Bay Packers, who had, honestly, in my opinion, a disappointing free agency, but they did bring in someone who has struggled with injuries. He's 26, cornerback from the Raiders, Nate Hobbs.
To be quite honest, I don't know a lot about him, but I did a little bit of research after they signed him, and I can see that he has issues with tackling, which is a little bit of a concern. But I think it's another guy, another veteran that we can bring in and kind of develop. And it's a relatively cheap deal, only $14 or $12 million guaranteed. I forget the exact numbers, but it's not. I feel like if he doesn't really pan out, it won't be the end of the world overall. We can cut him and we won't lose too much. And I don't know. It's just bringing someone else. And we don't even know if Jair Alexander is still going to be on the team. He could totally come back and play for the Packers next year, or he could get cut. So, I mean, there are options still for the Packers. So I can't say this is the end of the world in the secondary.
Yeah, and another kind of silly situation here. We swapped guys. So we got Nate Hobbs, and the Raiders got Eric Stokes. Thank the Lord he's gone from our team because I just utterly disgusted every time he stepped on that field and got cooked because I knew we wasted a first-round pick on that guy. Another guy who I would want to see go to the Packers is Asante Samuel Jr., even though it seems like the Saints are closing in on a deal with him. But I think Asante Samuel Jr. is mid-20s. Again, bad tackling, but a good potential type guy. And another guy who was signed by the Packers was Aaron Banks, who got a $77 million contract. And we got him from the 49ers. Thoughts on this, Andrew?
I like the move. He's not going to blow you away with anything. He's not going to be an all-pro offensive lineman, but he's going to be a guy that is solid, and he can give you the majority of the season, majority of the healthy season, I should add. And we just needed some help with the O-line, and getting him just really helps it out a lot. From what I can hear, Elkin Jenkins is going to move to center, which I would have loved to get a primary position center, but there's not a lot of those that are good on the market this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't say it's the worst thing ever, but it's just not ideal. But we'll take it how we get it. We get someone new at center, and it's Elkin Jenkins, and we get someone new at guard, which is Aaron Banks.
Yeah, and me and Andrew could talk about free agency for hours, but we're closing in on the 26-minute mark, so we gotta kind of hurry up because we still got stuff to talk about. But I just would like to say, you Chicago Bears fans that think you're gonna do good because you brought in some offensive linemen, yeah, no, you're still gonna be absolute butt cheeks along with the Cowboys, who said they're going to be aggressive, and then bring in 2 backup running backs and lose Rico Dowdle, whatever, to the Dowdle to the Panthers. So both those teams, I mean, yikes, just yikes.
I want to plead the case real quick of Eric Stokes and just say Miles is kind of overreacting a little bit because, yeah, Eric Stokes was bad for the past 2 years. But I just want to remind you guys of his rookie season. He was looking very promising. He was doing very well in coverage. Again, he probably wasn't going to blow you away with anything, and realistically, we probably would have let him go when his rookie deal was up. But I would say that Eric Stokes, to start off his career, wasn't completely god-awful like Miles makes it out to be. After he got hurt, though, yeah, he was pretty god-awful. But thank you, Eric Stokes, for your somewhat decent tenure with the Packers, I would say.
Yeah. Moving on, let's get into the NFL Combine. Me and Andrew watched hours upon hours of the Combine, but our biggest thing was watching the defensive backs. That was what we really wanted to focus. We saw the legend of Muskego, as people say, Hunter Wooler. He had an absolutely amazing combine, absolutely boosted his draft stock. He's huge, he's fast, and I think he's going to the Broncos, just to make that clear, because of Jim Leonard, the guy who is at the Badgers who brought in Hunter Wooler, who was the interim coach for the Badgers. Now he is the defensive back coach for the Broncos. And I think you add Hunter Wooler to an already amazing secondary. Yeah. That's gonna be pretty good. So I did, me and Andrew, we did some research, and the guy who probably had the best combine for the defensive backs was obviously Nick Imanwari. And this guy, he ran a 4.38. He's a big dude. He's 6'3". He actually, for the RAS score, I don't know if I said that right, he got a perfect 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10, which is very rare to do, and he did it. And I am super excited to see where that guy goes because he boosted his draft stock insanely. I have some predictions based on what I saw at the Combine, what I have seen, and I'm not going to lie. This is a very big segment of Schild Spicy Situations. It is just a big prediction of what I think the future of the NFL is going to be based on this draft. Hunter Wooler, starting off strong. I think he's going to come in underrated. I think, everyone's expecting him to be a backup, special teams type guy. I think he will eventually, 1 to 2 years, work his way into a starting role on whatever team drafts him just because of his dedication. I've met the guy in person. He is super huge. I mean, his neck is just huge. I'm sorry. I would hate to get tackled by that guy. And just his all-around drive to be better every day, I think he's going to be very underrated. Travis Hunter, who did not do really anything at the Combine. People saying it's not lowering his draft stock at all. I think that he will end up being an average cornerback and an okay receiver. That's my take, guys. So don't hate. Don't hate if you disagree with me. Put it in the comments down below. I think Jackson Dart sits behind a veteran for a season or 2 or 3, which is definitely could be Aaron Rodgers, and I think he becomes the franchise guy. Shedeur Sanders ends up being decent quarterback on a bad team, gets traded within the first 6 years of his career. Landon Jackson, the kid put on an absolute show at the combine. He's out of Arkansas. He looks great. He's big. I said he may become the next Max Crosby, just the way he's built, the way he plays the game. I'm super excited to see him. I'm hoping that the Packers draft Landon Jackson. This is a big one. You ready for this one, Andrew?
Go ahead for it.
So about every year, we see a big move that ends up putting a player where he went to college on the NFL team for that same city. We saw it with Kenny Pickett when he went first round. He was out of the University of Pittsburgh. The Steelers took him with the 20th overall pick, I believe. He has just been traded to the Browns with a Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I know they wanted to get rid of him. Kenny Pickett, it sounds like he's going to be competing for the Browns starting job. Even if they bring in a guy like Russell Wilson, he will still be competing, which is exciting. But I think the guy who's going to be drafted by, his hometown, his college hometown, Quinn Ewers, gets drafted by the Dallas Cowboys. I'm just saying. The Cowboys put it out. We know they lie a lot based on Jerry Jones and that whole organization. But I think within the next 3 years, he will replace Dak Prescott as a starting quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. Thoughts on that, Andrew?
Yeah, that's extremely bold. I don't know. I think there's a lot of merit to that take, and I think Quinn Ewers can definitely be a starter somewhere down the road. I just don't think it's going to be with the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are going to just keep Dak there as long as they can until his legs fall off. But it's definitely, there's some merit to a take that in a reality where Quinn Ewers becomes a starter of an NFL team.
Yep. And we're going into overtime, folks. Sorry for all you listening, and you only had a 30-minute drive, and now you're going to have to listen to the episode later. Put it in the comments if that's you. And I just have to say one little last segment thing here with Andrew and how this is going to affect free agency is going to affect everyone. I think the person with the biggest downgrade, the biggest slide in what his career is going to be like is Shedeur Sanders, or at least his draft stock. Because we saw if he would fall, say, everything goes where Cam Ward goes number 1. Actually, I'm thinking Abdul Carter might go number 1 now based on Harold Landry, the linebacker who got cut by the Titans after he led that team in sacks. He got signed by the Patriots, but he got cut, which makes me think they're making room for Abdul Carter. So they bring in Abdul Carter. We say the Browns bring in Travis Hunter. Giants bring in Cam Ward. The Jets aren't going to draft. The Raiders may not draft a quarterback. The Jets will not draft a quarterback. So I think we could definitely see a slide for Shedeur Sanders. I think he could fall a lot. I don't think he'll fall insanely, but I think he will fall down a few picks from where people were originally putting him.
Yeah, that makes sense. I haven't really looked at any mock drafts recently, but there's definitely a reality where Shedeur Sanders falls out of the top 5, maybe even the top 10. But Yeah, it's not looking good for Shador Sanders. The guy, he didn't work out the combine, so I mean, he's got a lot left on the table, I would say. So it's just not looking good for Shador Sanders and his draft stock.
Yeah, and I would say, I know Sam Darnold picked it, but I'm going to put Sam Darnold as the loser, one of the losers of free agency, just because I think he may ruin the rest of his career going to the Seahawks just because they have no weapons. I don't think he had many options because I think all the teams where he was going to go had no other options. But I think, if he can show us, that he can get a team built around him, he's only 27 years old. If he can show that he can get a team built around him, then I think he works his way up to that elite status. He's 100% not there, but I'm super excited to see if he will be there. Sadly, I will put him in the loser column for free agency.
Yeah, I don't know if I really agree that I don't think that Sam Darnold's going to lose as much as maybe Miles is thinking. And I think the Seahawks, they have weapons with Jackson Smith-Njigba and bringing in, who they bring in? Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name.
Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Kupp. Yeah, they bring in Cooper Kupp. They're not going to blow this thing up with just bringing in those two receivers, but I think that Sam Darnold's going to be fine. I don't think he's going to meet the expectations of a guy that's getting paid all that money. It's just, I don't think Sam Darnold's going to be quite as bad as Miles thinks. I just think it's not going to be the best thing, especially for the Seahawks. I don't think the Seahawks made the right choice here with getting Sam Darnold as their new quarterback.
I'm going to put my winner. This is going to be the last thing we talk about because we're running way over time. I'm going to put my winner as the Patriots, just because all those defensive pieces that they brought in to work with Mike Vrabel. I'm super excited to see a better defense for the Patriots and hopefully a developing offense for the Patriots. That's all the time that we have for today, folks. Thanks for listening.
And we'll see you next time.
All right. See you guys.